match anybody's price on a like-for-like basis.
Wow.
Because even...
Price match. I love this market. Yeah. This market's getting better and better.
And you know what? And if you don't like it, so we ask for...
Can you send us to the Grand Prix or something like that as well? No, might as well squeeze what we can out of it.
Yeah, I'll come with you. Hi, I'm Paul Mayberry from Pharmacy X. Welcome to the Pharmacy Planet. I thought I got the wrong way around there. Hi, I'm Paul Mayberry from Pharmacy X. Welcome to the Pharmacy Planet podcast.
Well, thanks for joining us at the Pharmacy Planet podcast, Paul. Paul, you've had a long history in pharmacy. That's right. Do you want to just give us a bit of background about yourself, when you started and how you ended up for what you're doing now?
Well, first, thank you for inviting me. I'm really looking forward to it. Went to Cardiff University, did my pharmacy degree in Cardiff, did my pre-reg with Lloyds, worked for Lloyds for a couple of months on relief before working for independent. The reason I went to work for independent straight away is because I wanted to have my own pharmacies. So I wanted to learn on the ground rather than working for a corporate for too long. Did that for 3 years. Struggled to find a pharmacy for sale back in those days.
This is in Wales, right?
This is in Wales, yeah. This is like 1994.
Yeah. It was hard getting shops, though.
It was hard, yeah. It was expensive.
It was like impossible, wasn't it?
Impossible. I was literally tearing my hair out. That's what happened to try to find the pharmacies. And what actually happened was my wife was also a pharmacist. We met in university together, and she was doing some maternity cover for a pharmacy in Pontypool.
Yeah.
The girl she was replacing. She was going to take some time off, so I went to see the boss to see if I could get a job there.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, I'm sick and tired of that place. Do you want to buy it?" I go, "Yeah, okay." So I went to the banks. Banks wouldn't lend me the money, so I went back to him and said, "I'd love to buy your pharmacy, Mr. Jones, but I can't afford it." And he said that, "Well, I'll lend you the money." And I said, "You lend me the money?"
Wow.
He said. And I saw my father-in-law was an accountant. He said, "Well, be careful. How is he going to tie you in? Is it going to be expensive?" Yeah. And he just said, "I'll lend you the money. I'm going to charge you more in interest than the banks would, but as soon as you can pay me off," which I did. So I went in. They were doing 3,000 items in the June. By the November, when I actually took over, we were doing 4,000 items. Never looked back. Paid him off in 18 months and away we went.
Oh, yeah, well, branches in Wales used to always be a bit of a premium as well, didn't they? I mean, there's not a lot of pharmacies in Wales in the first place, right?
There were around about the time about 714 pharmacies. When the contractor limitation had changed, because there was an OFT report back in 2006 which allowed 100-hour pharmacies in England and indirect pharmacies. That didn't happen in Wales. They rejected that. So we always stayed around about 700, whereas England then it increased by 3,000. Yeah. We just stayed the same. And it's gone down a little bit now, 686. So there was never that opportunity to buy lots of pharmacies. You just had that sort of just waiting to buy somebody who was retiring, and therefore it was expensive. But
you still grew, right? You did pick up a couple of other pharmacies after that, right?
So after that, then I bought my next one in 99, and then over the next couple of years, we bought more. Got 7, and then this OFT report came out, which meant everything was on hold because we didn't know whether they were going to allow everybody to open a pharmacy willy-nilly or what. So we sort of paused on that. And then my focus went on other things. So I didn't really focus on growing the group any more than that. So although I've got 7 pharmacies myself, it's been like that for 20 years. And
that's when you jumped into the tech side of business, right?
Yeah.
And what is it, just a natural passion? You've always been into tech or something? Where did this start? Was it robotics or something? Or
yeah, so I was always like, I went to school so long ago that we didn't do computer studies in school. So me and my friend from up the road, we used to sort of play around with the ZX Spectrum, I always liked computers and tech, but never had any formal training in it. And then I saw that with pharmacy. Then I liked efficiencies. I hated doing stuff that were wasted processes. So I liked doing things efficiently, which then led me on to robots. So in 2011, I bought my first robot with the idea of doing hub and spoke. So we were the first company There's actually an article in the Chemist and Druggist in 2012 saying Mayberry Pharmacy were the first company in the country to do hub and spoke dispensing before Boots or Lloyd's, any of them.
Okay, and if I fast forward now, we'll go back again because I know you did a lot more since then. But just fast forward, what do you think of hubs and spokes now?
I think before you look at hub and spoke, you've got to make sure that your pharmacy is running as efficiently as possible.
Sorry, just for any viewers who are watching wondering what hub and spoke is, I keep forgetting to have to explain myself. Hub and spoke, what they think is, in terms of dispensing, you can make it more efficient by sending it to a hub, getting it dispensed there, getting it back to a pharmacy as a spoke, and therefore you're dispensing time and efficiency using robotics, AI, or whatever there is hopefully reduced resource. So it costs you less in the pharmacy, in theory, and pharmacists and staff are freed up to do other stuff. That's the theory, right?
That's the theory.
Does it work?
Depends what tech you're doing.
All right, okay.
So bear in mind, so my background was doing hub and spoke robots, looking at hub and spoke. So when we then developed our own PMR, which we needed to be able to do hub and spoke and to do efficient dispensing, we made the dispensary efficient, but we made it so that the inefficiencies that other PMRs bring into the system. So yes, you're taking some of the stuff out of a dispensary and sending it to a central hub, but that's the easy stuff. Picking stuff off the shelf and sticking a label on it is the easy stuff. You're still having to download the prescriptions, you're still doing the clinical checks, you're then deciding which prescriptions are going to go to the central hub and which are going to stay. You then send it off. The easy stuff is done there. It comes back. You then need to reconcile it, you need to put it on the shelf, you need to spend time with the patient. So we were seeing, although we were sending 70% of our prescriptions in the old days, with an old PMR, we were sending 70% of our prescriptions to the central hub, but maybe only 25 to 30% of the work was being done there. And it was an awful lot of extra work because you're still doing all the prescription management, extra work in getting the prescriptions over to the hub, and then the easy bit was done over there and then comes back to you. So it was moving the work. It didn't work with those legacy PMRs. That's why we've developed it, and now we're doing it again, because we stopped for years because we couldn't make it work. So now, because of what the tech was like at the time. So now what we do, download the prescriptions from the spine. Each of the pharmacists can then do the clinical check, save the clinical check, so they're only checking it once rather than having to check the same items every single month. So they're only checking new items, new patients, any changes, and high-risk drugs. But otherwise, once they've checked it, they can save that check for 12 months. Prescription comes down. The system automatically identifies what's hubbable. I don't know whether that's a real word, but I'm going to try to get it in the Oxford English Dictionary.
Trademark the thing. If anyone uses it, they have to pay you.
That's a good idea. Yeah. So we identify the hubbable items and send it automatically goes to the hub. So the dispensers, the pharmacists don't need to do anything. The system knows, send it all to the hub, it goes to the hub.
I've never had a problem with systems. I think systems work great. In terms of hub and spoke, I'll be honest, I've crunched the numbers so many times, Paul. I've done it on the back of a fag packet. I've done it a bit more intensive. I've looked at it in various different ways. It's not the system that's an issue. It feels like you're just moving cost from one place to somewhere else, and then it comes back again. I can't see any sufficient efficiency saving unless you're a really busy pharmacy. When I mean really busy, I'm talking about, in the top maybe 10% of pharmacies or 20% of pharmacies or something like that. Yeah. But generally, by and large, I looked at anything that goes to a hub and comes back, you're just moving workload around. I don't see the benefit, but maybe, am I missing something?
Yeah, I think you are. I'm not a big advocate for hub and spoke. I did it myself. We were the pioneers of it. People like ProScript came down to look and see what we were doing, so they could build in what we were doing into their software, like 16 years ago. But you say the system, you don't see a problem with the system, but when you start looking at it and thinking, like you did, saying, well, okay, using the system that I'm using at the moment and using a hub, it doesn't work. But for it to work, everything's got to be efficient. So when you're downloading prescriptions, so you imagine that the perfect workflow would be you download the prescription, the pharmacist doesn't need to check it because they've done it before. The system identifies what's hubbable or not, and it appears on the screen in the hub. And you've got somebody at that screen with the name pops up, you do select all, pick it. If you're doing it on a robot, you've got to work with the robot systems as well, because the worst thing you can do with a robot is start dispensing 5 items and only 4 items come out. Because if you've done that, then you've run out the stock. You need to manually order it. It's got to come in the next day. You've got these 4 items with labels on it that you've got to. I've done it all before with it. So you've also got to make sure that the systems in the hub work. So you don't start dispensing until you know that you've got all the stock for this particular patient. And to do that, you need to have the PMR working with the robots. So then once you can see that I'm only going to dispense for these people. The people that I am going to start for, leave that, because the system will automatically order it for you. It'll come in the next day, goes up into the robot, syncs the stock. So you're only dispensing where you've got all the stock, and it's all original packs, no splits, no CDs, nothing that adds complication. The stock comes out. As it comes out, you scan, label, print a bag, scan, label, print a bag. Because you're only producing labels by scanning that barcode, you can't make a dispensing error, therefore it doesn't need an ACT check. So just reviewing that whole process, downloads the prescription, no pharmacist check. Nobody sending it to the hub. It just appears at the hub. Dispensed at the hub, bagged up, ready to go back, or posted directly from the hub. So it's got to be really efficient to make it work, but there are ways of doing it.
So I've looked at a bit of a basic view.
Yeah.
That was quite a technical analysis to show you exactly where it's efficient. But my basic view is, right, when you hub obviously has rent, rate, staff costs. There's your hub cost, full stop, right? So once you have
that's $100,000. Easy.
Then you've got your logistics costs. Then you've got your time lag between when it goes to the hub and when it doesn't. So that's a cost. And whatever your checking in process is, there is a process, right? So you've got all these different bits and pieces. So I ask anyone who's done hub and spoke, and maybe if there's someone out there who can actually show me on a P&L how it's worked. I'll turn around and say, is there any you can save this many hours, you'll save 20% of your staff time to 20% of this. I've heard everything. Yeah. And then I say, right, here's your P&L, this was your staff cost before, this is your staff cost now. Is this accurate? Yeah. And it's never accurate. Yeah. And then they always say to me, they do more stuff now though. Yeah. I'm like, do they now? Yeah. If they do more stuff now, that's really good that they do more stuff. Yeah. So what more output have you got? So let's measure that then. Yeah. So how many extra, what have you done that's extra? And when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, there's more time to do something that no one's done, and no one's really created any efficiency in terms of staffing actual P&L costs. So I'm dubious. All I keep saying to anyone is, I'm not writing it off. It may work, it may not work. The way I see it is, I'd love to see someone's P&L and turn around and say, there you go, my staffing cost is bang down, and is no doubt including everything. So you've got to include all the logistics and the bits and pieces.
I totally agree with you. I'm like I said, I don't think I'd be doing hub and spoke apart from the fact that I've already got a robot. Yeah. It's already in the same building as my pharmacies. So there's no additional rent, no additional cost of robot, no additional pharmacist. We looked at it exactly like you said. We looked at putting it in a unit. You got to buy the robot. You got to spend the rent. You got to put a pharmacy. It doesn't work. If you can do it within an existing pharmacy, maybe. Unless you're really big. But I agree with you. If it wasn't for the fact that we already had the robot, we would be using our PMR to make the dispensing as efficient as possible. And when you are you're looking at the technology, like we did, and I can discuss how we got to where we did, but it was just looking at all the inefficiencies within a normal pharmacy, the cost base, the stock levels that you've got. Just review it all and come up with the best scenario.
Paul, after the robots, I've seen you were involved in PillTime, right? Is that right? Is that CEO of PillTime, no less?
Founder of PillTime.
Founder of PillTime. Mm-hmm. Wow. Right. Now, PillTime is one of the biggest dispensaries in the UK currently. Is that correct?
Yeah. Top 10.
Top 10 dispensary in the UK currently. So it's got some serious amount of throughput. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you were CEO and founder. How did that come about? What was the story there? And how come? What's with the exit?
So what happened there? So, like the technology, like robots. Then a few years ago, must be in 2013, 2014, I went to Expo Farm in Dusseldorf. Okay. Saw these robots.
As you do.
Yeah,
what a fun holiday that must have been. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I'll put it on my list. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm sad. But
next to Hawaii.
But pharmacy is my life. I live and breathe pharmacy. So I got no other hobbies apart from pharmacy and different parts of pharmacy. But so I went to a trade show in Dusseldorf, see these robots, and they're producing these pouches. And I said, what's this about? And they said, well, if you're doing lots of trays, then maybe you can make some staff savings by dispensing it with one of these robots. And I said, I don't know about that. Anyway, I went back with some samples, and I went and saw a care agency. And a care agency, so at the time I had a marketing manager within Mayberry Pharmacy, and he set me up with a manager of a care agency, and he was really pleased about this. And I knew that we don't really deal with care agencies because the carers go in, but the relationship is still with the patients and the pharmacies.
Yeah.
So there's very little that we can do with the care agency. So I was like, didn't have much hope. But when I talked to this manager, it went as I thought. There wasn't a lot we could do. And then as a throwaway comment at the end, I said, well, what do you think of these sachets, these pouches that I've got here? And she said, well, tell me about these. I said, well, everything that you need to take, a patient needs to take at a particular time is pouched up by the dose at a particular time, in a clearly labelled, easy to open pouch that comes out in the order that you need to take it from the box. And she said, that sounds amazing. She said, so there's like, if I had my carers were given that, they can't make a dispensing error. And I said, no, they can't. They said, this is the answer to my prayers. She said, hang on, what if it's wrong in the pouch? I said, that's my responsibility, and I'd have all checking mechanisms on that.
Yeah.
She said, sign me up. Well, at that point, I think, right, okay, I better go and get one of these robots. So that's how it started. So get the pouching robots, brought it into Mayberry Pharmacy in the same building, no extra cost apart from the cost of the robot. Started dispensing, did do hub and spoke then for the what were tray patients. We were already doing manual hub and spoke, but then we started dispensing them to the pouches. Patients liked them, apart from the visually impaired, because they like the feel of the trays and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, breakfast, lunch and tea. But everybody else, we moved on to the pouches, and I thought, do you know what, I got something here. And but
did a little light bulb go off? You're thinking, hold on, hold on, I'm onto them. Yeah.
We couldn't grow it within Wales because we had paper prescriptions, so you need to physically get the prescription. So you could do it within your neighbourhood, but you couldn't go 10 miles, 20 miles away to get prescriptions. But I thought, actually, in England, this is 2016, EPS is coming to maturity. I talked to lots of my English friends that had moaned and groaned about the growing pains of getting it, of starting it up, and I at the time I was saying, better to have 2D barcodes. But by 2016, everyone was saying, it's starting to work. So I thought, right, if I've got something that people like, pouch dispensing, if I can set up a pharmacy in England and access the billion prescriptions that are dispensed in England every year and offer my pouching service, maybe I'll be onto something. So that's what we did. We bought a DSP in Bristol, as close as we could be to Wales.
Yeah.
Set
you don't like leaving too far. You don't want to go too far.
Yeah.
No.
And we were charged for getting back into Wales at that point as well. So
serves you right.
Yeah. So we set up this online pharmacy, and it just exploded. We were just doing Facebook advertising, Google advertising.
Was it direct to patient? This or
direct to patient?
So this wasn't a model for pharmacies to access. This was direct to patient, right?
This was people seeing our adverts and going, I know I'm taking a lot of medication. I know I've got a problem in remembering to take my medication. I didn't know there was an answer, but this picture of this pouch, that's my answer. So people would sign up straight away. We became the second busiest pharmacy within a number of months. Pharmacy 2 were miles ahead, but we became number 2 within a few months.
Okay, and then why the exit? That sounds like it was a growing business.
You would think so, but it was all about the operation and the efficiencies. So we started off with 1 PMR. We maxed out on that because we were growing so fast. I had too many users. I had to go back to ProScript, which is what I was using. I'd used for 16 years. But we didn't want any of the functionality within ProScript. We were a fast-growing, scaling company, so we built the software around it. So we built the software to integrate with the robots, to integrate with the Royal Mail, to do the dispatching. But we still needed lots of pharmacists. We still needed lots of staff. We needed lots of stock. We didn't have any stock control. So we had to build all that stuff around it ourselves. And then you get to a situation where you think, well, we've only got ProScript, just connect to the spine. If we connect to the spine, we can get rid of that. So in 2020 we decided that the opportunity of building the software, building our own PMR, was a greater opportunity than PillTime. So I left PillTime and focused on the PMR. And then what was different, what was like a secret ingredient for us, was that because we were in Wales without EPS, I could go back into Wales, develop this software without needing EPS integration. So we rolled it out into Mayberry pharmacies. We got it working really well, ironed out any bugs and things like that, got it all working it really fast. Then we got locked down. The development got locked down because we needed to go for EPS accreditation. And then you come out the other side and we hit the ground running because by the time we locked down, we'd already dispensed millions of prescriptions. So where you see other systems where they come out to the market and there's a bug, or you need to fix things once they've gone through EPS, we were flying by the time we came out.
Okay, that's great. And and then Pharmacy X. So that's where you are. What a great name, Pharmacy X. Where did that name come from? Sounds like it's like the TV channels I watch with the X.
Well, nothing really. It's just that we wanted something that people would know what industry we're in. You've got things like Centrica. What do they do? They supply, So we just wanted put pharmacy there, and like you said, probably the X was the thing. So Pharmacy X just
you combined your two passions.
Yeah.
Oh, we might have to snip that bit out. Right, but anyway. So, what's so good about Pharmacy X, Paul? Why? What makes you different from any of the other ones that are out there?
But basically, it's been built by me, an experienced pharmacy operator. Yeah. So it's we're not created by anybody else apart from somebody who's built the software to run their pharmacies and run a group of multiple pharmacies, small multiple, but still a multiple. Knowing what we know today. So rather than the legacy systems where EPS was retrospectively fitted, everything's retrospectively fitted because they're 20 years old. What we did is say, well, we know what we need to do these days. The contract's changing. It's got to be all about services. Nobody's going to give us loads of money back into dispensing. So you've got to make your dispensing efficient. So make sure you've got to have a very efficient dispensing process. You've got to free up your pharmacist from the dispensing process, so save your clinical checks, try to reduce as many ACTA checks as you can. And then if your pharmacist is in the consultation room, they need to be confident that everything's safe in the dispensary, so make sure that everything can only be labelled if you scan the correct barcode. Now other systems will say, yeah, we scan the correct barcode, but if your barcode doesn't scan, they just escape and print it out and bypass it. Well, you can't do that with ours. There's ways, and I won't go into all the details, but there's easy ways to add the barcodes, and you choose what goes live. So we're the only system that says you will not get a label out unless you scan the correct barcode. And then the massive thing is stock control, and nobody else looks at stock control. Whereas I know as a pharmacy owner, it's really important, and I've reduced my stock levels by 60-70%.
So in terms of stock control, this is a thing that I think not just groups but like in pharmacies for donkey's years have had a severe problem getting a handle on, mainly because the way the generic market is, it's a jumble sale. You can get anything from anywhere, from any supplier. Anything can come in, and then anything cannot come in as well. And it's a total mess. Now, you're saying that your system has got a handle on that, because I'm dubious about any system ever saying that they've got a handle on it, because I've never seen it. Yeah.
So we're the only system that does it. And the secret is DM&D codes.
Yeah.
So it's a drug code. This drug code is the same drug code is used by prescribing systems, used by pricing systems. So we use it in our PMR. Every other PMR uses PIP codes.
Yeah.
So if you think then a PIP code, if you've got a product, the Teva product is a different PIP code than the Accord product, etc., which means that every single brand is treated as a different product, and then they try to force it into a family or wherever it is. But of course, then if you've got atorvastatin and Lipitor's in that family, so then you worry you've got whereas we go, no, I don't care about whichever brand it is. Let's look at the DM&D code, which just says the drug atorvastatin 20 milligrams, pack size 28. I don't care which brand comes in, because like you said, it could come in from any different supplier with any different manufacturer. All I know is I just want to dispense atorvastatin, but I don't want to give out the expensive brand or order in this expensive brand.
Okay, what about stuff like? So you think your system is the best, right? Yeah, of course, no doubt. Yeah. Your system is the best. What about it? So right now, what I found is because of this kind of new tech landscape, there's loads of pretty much startups doing loads of different things that are helpful within pharmacy, but you find that there's no interoperability between the different systems. Now, there still isn't, and everyone's saying they've got open APIs, everyone will plug in, you'll be able to do it. Where do you stand on something like this? Because no one knows what's going to come tomorrow and what we as a contractor, as a pharmacy, you don't know what you're going to need, but you need to be able to make sure you can integrate with your PMR, because I don't want to have to go to like 7-8 different systems to run my business.
But to start off with, I think the PMRs should be doing more than they've done. So the legacy PMR, I can remember being in meetings years ago saying, where you've had people were presenting on delivery apps and analytics and all these other different apps. I'm saying they shouldn't even exist. They should have been within the PMR, but the PMRs didn't do it. They allowed these third parties to take control of those part of the market. So a lot of the stuff that we do, we control integrated CD registers. Some other systems you say you got into we make it really simple. You really need to come and see it to see how easy it is. But then another thing is the NHS is still working on stuff. One of the things is the NHS app. the NHS trying to encourage people to order through the NHS app. One of the things that we need to be able to do is to tell the NHS when the NHS app when the prescription is ready for a patient. So then the patient can come in and get the prescription. They all see it as part of the efficiencies. Well, if we're creating that, which we've created, then that is your... I haven't got to go into a lot of tech. That's the information that everybody needs.
Yeah.
So we've already done it. So if you can read the information that we're going to be sending to the NHS app, and you can put that into your delivery app, you can put it into your services, it's already there.
So full interoperability, you believe. What about with all the different bits of like robots and vending machines that are out there and everything? You guys are integrated with all these different...
All the robots use the same interface. The vending machines, some of the vending machines have got their data cloud-based, which makes it easy for us because we're cloud-based. Some of them are on-premise, which makes it a little bit more difficult. But yeah, we deal with them all.
All right. And how much do you charge? Let's get back down to the nitty-gritty.
As I said, I'm a pharmacist. I know what it's like. I don't want to be paying extra for this and for that. So we just have one flat fee. So the flat fee is £700 per month.
I like flat fee.
Yeah, and it's got...
You know
exactly where you are.
You know, so, I'm paying less than that, right?
Yeah. So you're paying it less because you're group. So we're saying 700 is where we start.
Yeah.
If you're a group, yes, we negotiate discounts and we can give you discounts, and we'll match for like, we'll match anybody. So nobody's not going to come to Pharmacy X over price. We'll match anybody's price on a like-for-like basis.
Wow.
Because even...
Price match. I love this market. Yeah. This market is getting better and better.
And you know what? And if you don't like it, so we ask for...
Can you send us to the Grand Prix or something like that as well? No, might as well squeeze what we can out of this.
Yeah, I'll come with you to the Grand Prix. But because we know with the best, we know you're going to love it. Yeah. We'll say you only want to give us a 12-month commitment, so it's only a 12-month contract. Yeah. And do you know what? If you don't like it after 6 months, then fine.
Okay.
Break close.
So no tie-in, £700 a month. Everything's negotiable depending who you are.
Well, yeah.
Everything's negotiable. Come see the system because you're convinced it's the best system on the planet. Yeah. Yeah. And
best in the UK.
Best in the UK. Oh, not on the planet. You're pegging back a bit.
That's outside my scope. I know what's available in the UK. I know we're better.
Okay. So there's no reason not to go to Pharmacy X. No. Yeah.
You've got to come and see it.
We've got to come and see it. Paul, you've been in this industry a while. Yeah. So if you had a crystal ball, which you don't have, but just for the purposes of this podcast, you have a crystal ball. Where do you see the pharmacy landscape in the next 2, 3, 5 years, whether it's dispensing or whether it's... What do you see happening?
You can see what's happening in the future outside of England. So you see what Scotland is leading the way. Wales are a little bit behind Scotland, but ahead of Wales. And it's all around services. Right. So the money's not going to come back into dispensing. You've got to be really efficient on your dispensing process. You've got to be reducing your stock levels and managing your stock. And you've got to be buying cleverly. You've got to have a system that will give you all the information so you can buy to the optimum. So that's... But you've also then got to take the pharmacist out of that dispensing flow. I always say that the pharmacist only adds value to the dispensing process in 2 places. At the very beginning, doing clinical checks, and at the end, doing the spending time with the patients. Everything else can be delegated or automated. Now, if you can then reduce down the number of clinical checks you need to do because your PMR covers that or saves your clinical checks, it means that you can then focus on the end bit, which is spending time with the patients. And hopefully spending time with the patients means you're then delivering services, both NHS and private services. And if you are doing that, if you can pivot your business to that, so your pharmacists are doing that, then the future is rosy. I've been in the business a long time, like you said, seen the good times, seen the bad times. Last year with that model was my best year ever.
So, Paul, loads of people are still on legacy systems that pretty much are not fit for purpose going into the future. We know that. Everyone knows that. Everyone's going to have to move off, right? Yeah. So if you're still on, and when I say legacy system, we were with ProScript. That was EMIS is a very large provider, but it was made before ETP, electronic prescriptions. It's not cloud-based. It was not made for the future. It's actually so antiquated compared to the processes nowadays. Everyone's going to have to move off at some point to a newer system. Where do you stand with that? Why bother with your system? Why is it not better than anyone else's? Everyone else has got new systems that are good, right? So where do you stand with this?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Those legacy systems, 20 years old, everything's retrospectively fitted. It doesn't
work, does it? It don't work.
I think it's probably too late for them to change. They talk about bringing in things like script chat. They can't do it. The way that they've built 20 years ago, based on PIP codes, they can't do it.
It's not going to work.
No. So everybody's got to be looking for a new PMR, and the three in the market then are us, Titan, and Apotek. Apotek's main pitch is we're like ProScript but modern. Okay, if you like the ProScript,
we've got Apotek, by the way. Let me just clarify before anyone.
So that's their model. If you just want to move into this, just have a cloud-based version of ProScript, you've got it with Apotek. With Titan came out in 2019. I went to see it in 2016, 2018, 2020. 2016 was Mayberry Pharmacy. 2018 is Cambria Lens. 2020 with PillTime, and it promised a lot. It looked like it was going to be good, but even in 2020, it just wasn't. It wasn't really what you needed to do. Like no stock control, no releasing the pharmacist properly. So at the time we had PillTime, and we were in we had the tech team behind us. We were able to say, do you know what? Nothing's out there that is what we need, so let's develop ourselves. So we decided to develop the entire new workflow. I'd done a lot with lean principles. I'd gone to Cardiff Business School and did a diploma in lean, where they say that that you would just strip every part of waste out of a workflow, make it as efficient as possible. So the tech team said to me, right, you design the perfect workflow for a community pharmacy and we'll build a software around it, knowing what we know now. Knowing you want to free up the pharmacist so they can spend time on services, stock control, making everything safe, and also being cloud-based. I mean, if you've got a number of groups, you want to see that what's going on in all your pharmacies in one go. And we can do that just on a screen. You can't do that with the legacy systems where you've got to dial it. With our system, you can see all your branches on a screen exactly where they are now.
Okay. In terms of, I'm a pharmacy contractor. If anyone else is looking for anything like this, all I turn around and say is check everyone out. We've got no affiliations. Everyone says that their system is the best. Paul is no different. So what I normally say is check them all out, see which one's the best fit for your business. There's going to be ones that are more value for money. Value is whatever you think the value is, yeah? And certain ones suit certain people, certain don't. Check them all out, because now what I would say is for us as a buyer, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant time to be, because everyone's vying for our business. So it's very, very, very rare do we be in such a good position as a buyer, because everyone's moving off of legacy systems. There's only so many of the ones on the newer platforms. Check them all out and get the best deal for you. That's what I'd recommend. Anyway.
And you're right, and but you have got to look at the value as well. So you want, like, our what we say is one price, everything's included. All new things that come out, I don't know what I don't know, but when things come out, everything's included in the price. It's never an add-on. Apart from the monthly license fee, the only thing extra you pay for is a text. When you text in patients to say to come in for your prescription, 2.7 pence per text. That's the only extra thing. You can use your existing hardware. You can use a normal broadband. Like I use BT, £39. As long as it's got a fixed IP, that's all you need. So it's a cheap way to get in. And like I said, when you do price matches and you look at other people, we did a price match the other day. It was 20 lines on the other companies. Everything was extra. No matter how many machines you want, whether it's 10, 15, 20 machines in your pharmacy, regardless of the number of items that you're doing, irrespective of anything, we'll even put it on your laptops. We put it on your manager's laptops. We'll put it on your head office laptops.
Work from home.
You can work from home, work from the office. And you can access everything from home. You can access anything through a secure VPN we'll put on your laptop. You can access it from McDonald's, but everything is there for you. So do the compare like for like, and then if you come to us with saying somebody's got this, we'll price match it.
There you go, price match.
And
you can't beat that, can you?
And you want to break clause after 6 months, not a problem. We're confident we were the best.
That's quite an offering. It makes a change from back in the day when you'd be tied in for 4 years or something.
Yeah, exactly. And the sales process tends to be have a chat with me or one of the team, have a look at our videos, have an online demo. Everyone says, looks good, but I want to see it in real life. Yeah, go and see the people that are using it. Our salespeople are our users. We've spent zero on sales at the moment. We're the fastest growing PMR company of last year, the fastest growing PMR company by the number of people that are joining us, with zero spend on marketing. Our salespeople are our users.
Paul, you mentioned you had the best financial year ever. Now, I'll tell you one thing. I've been in pharmacy for a long time, and I can definitely tell you anywhere within the last 10 years have not been my best financial year ever. So do you want to just let me know what you've done there? Are you getting like have you just offshored everything?
Well, we're a little bit in advance of yourselves in England because we're in Wales, so the contract is a little bit different.
Oh, you're more advanced, are you?
A little bit with regards,
okay.
with regards to services.
Okay.
You'll get there. So what we were able to do is that you know, we all know the direction of travel. It's not going to be money in the dispensing. So we've made that really efficient and we cut down the stock.
You know, I think although money, sorry to cut you off a quick, Paul.
Okay.
You know, I think a lot of people are heading towards services, which is good. And I know you're going to tell me how it was the best financial year ever. But I think, you know, like when you're still your cost to run the business or your turnover is still like 70% of it is drugs. Yeah, it makes such a big difference. A margin on there. If you knocked a little bit off there, like all the services in the world do not help pull that up.
Yeah.
So so go on. As you were mentioning about your.
But what do most people do? Most people have got a PMR where you don't know what your stock is. That you can so your dispensers, your managers can order wherever they want, and then you asked for different reports from your cascade system to say, can you tell me if my manager's overordered? But with our system, it controls the stock, so it only orders stock if you drop below the minimum that I set, or we've got an outstanding prescription for it. So we've always at optimum stock levels. We only order what we need. So there's a dramatic all of a sudden you can have just-in-time ordering system for the expensive lines. Because why have you got stock on your shelves that you can, for the expensive lines that can only can come from Alliance? You're going to get twice daily delivery. You don't get any discount for buying it in bulk, but you'll have £400 worth of Forxiga used to be on the shelf. Why is that? That's 1% of your stock on one line. It's crazy when really you don't need to do it. But you keep everybody else keeps that sort of stock levels because you don't control your stock. Once you start controlling your stock and you know what's there and you know what you need to order, your stock level comes down. We've done surveys for people that have come onto Pharmacy X where in the first 4 weeks their stock levels have reduced by 54%, and of the stock that's left, 25% of it wasn't touched over that 28 days because nobody knows what they're doing with the stock. So like you said, it's the biggest thing that you spend on, but yet nobody's looking at it. It's really important to look at. So sort out your efficient dispensing process, but you've got to look after your stock, and Pharmacy X is the only system that looks after the stock. And then once you're doing that, and your pharmacists are not spending time looking at that, not editing orders and things, so because the system takes care of it, and then you can focus on services.
So your best year ever was through a higher amount of service level income?
Yeah, so we reduced our stock levels, we improved our margins on the dispensing, because the system takes care of it. And then we trained up our pharmacists. So I got 7 pharmacies. I got 7 IPs. Every branch has got an IP in there, which in Wales, and this is why I said that we're more advanced. They've sort of pump funded the IPs to encourage us to get IPs going. Okay. So I think I don't know if any other group.
What's the funding? What's this pump funding? What do you mean?
In the first year, they help fund the pharmacists to become IPs. Yeah. Once they are IPs, and if the pharmacy starts providing IP consultations, as long as you do 1 consultation a month for 12 months, you get £40,000.
Okay, so now I understand how you've had the best year ever. So I think what you're trying to suggest is everyone pick up their pharmacy and move it to Wales. I think that's probably the best way.
Or make me an offer.
Yeah. Wow. But what
that does then is that you've got your NHS funding for your IP, but then that comes with, then we've got the common ailments, so you can earn a decent amount of money for the common ailments. Yeah. But then you've got your IPs that can then be doing your weight management, your travel clinics, and that's where the money is then, when private. And when you start
all my taxes are going to your pocket. All my taxes are going to you, Paul. I'm going to end up doing a side hustle because I don't have enough money to be able to have, wow. But anyway, no, it's good on you.
Yeah. So it's getting, so basically, but it's not coming as a surprise. You know that further down the line, next year, all the pre-regs are going to come out as prescribers. Yeah. So everybody really needs to be trained up as a prescriber so that they can compete in this new world. You've got to be taken away from the dispensing process and be able to focus on the services. And yes, Wales has got an advantage because they've encouraged me to train my pharmacist to get that money. But it's improving profitability isn't just about that. It's because now we're also doing the weight management, the other private services, as well as the whole range of NHS services.
So, Paul, you've come at a very opportune time. I have decided to start a revolution. Yeah.
Okay, good.
And you are my first appointee. Yeah.
Thank you.
So now I've decided, look, make pharmacy great again. It's a bit like MAGA,
Yeah.
but MAPAGA. Yeah.
MAGA.
MAPAGA. Yeah. So would you join my revolution, please,
Yes,
Paul?
definitely.
Yeah. There's a cap for you there. Yeah.
Make pharmacy great again.
See, I've got an idea as well.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear my idea?
Yeah.
See,
What's your idea?
My idea. So I think pharmacies, it's hard. I think it's going to be hard over the next few years.
Yeah.
And like I've got kids. My 16-year-old, they always turn around, and with these kids nowadays, they're always talking about the side hustle.
Yeah.
And it's never about your main job now, because
Yeah.
they tell me you don't make money in your main job, you make money in your side hustle. And I thought, you know what I need? I need a side hustle.
Yeah.
So I thought, if I need a side hustle, what can it be? Then I thought, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to start selling merch.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah,
But
good.
merch. So I'm going to become a millionaire, yeah,
Good.
through selling Make Pharmacy Great Again merch.
Great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But obviously guests get it free.
That's
Yeah?
good.
So thank you for joining the revolution even.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, join the revolution. I've got some quickfire questions for you. Yeah?
Okay.
Now,
Fire away.
you've seen the quickfire questions.
Sorry, let me just quickly sort your hat out.
I haven't got a tag on it, have I? Stick with main job or side hustle?
Keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah, okay. Rugby or football, and why?
Rugby, because I'm Welsh, is my passion.
Yeah, I don't know why I ask these questions. It's like I know it.
Easy.
Yeah. Do you watch football even?
Yeah.
All right, okay. Who'd you support?
Cardiff City, unfortunately.
Don't worry, it's tough. Okay, this one I'm going to answer for you because I
Okay.
can tell. I was going to say Lambo or Tesla,
Yeah.
but you look like a Lamborghini driver. I can tell straight away. I can imagine top down, Lamborghini all the way.
With the tech. I go with the tech. Tesla every time.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah.
All
I
right,
got
okay.
two.
Paul, I went to town with the merch. Honestly, I thought, I'm not making money in pharmacy, so why not? And go with my side hustle full on. So I've gone with full merch, full branding. Look at that. Make pharmacy great again. What do you think?
Yeah.
How does it look? You reckon it'll work?
Don't know whether I'd wear it down the street, but yes.
What are you talking about? This is unique. This is like, there's only so many pieces of this one. I mean, it's designed by Fruit of the Loom or something, but
Yeah.
don't worry about that.
Quality.
It's proper quality. So
Yeah.
let me present you with some merch. Yeah,
Great,
this
thank
only.
you.
I mean, this is going to be on the website later, so you can buy this,
Yeah.
and I'm going to make my 50p or a pound or whatever I make from this soon enough.
Limited edition.
Limited edition. That's it. Yeah.
Marvellous.
I don't know what size it is. It looks like
Yeah,
your size.
this looks big enough.
I've even.
Thank you very much.
We've got even and tote bags as well.
Brilliant. And can I keep the cup?
You could keep a cup as well. We'll give you a full fresh cup.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're gonna give you full fresh. Don't you worry about it. Our guests are treated well in Pharmacy Planet. Look at that. That's a good tote bag.
Here's an interesting fact for you.
Go on.
You said about the textiles. My parents had a shop selling clothes back in the day. My first side hustle when I was in school was selling jumpers and jeans to people in school.
Right.
And we used to go on a weekend to Tarek's parents in Bristol and buy from Tarek. So
Tarek from.
who owns Titan.
Oh wow.
So about that. So I would have
Who
been
is a competitor, right?
Who is a competitor.
Oh, right.
So back in the day when I was maybe 6 or 7, I would have been going to Tarek's parents' warehouse buying stuff.
You know
so
what
we
I
go
would-
back a long way.
You know what I would really like? You know, like for someone like me, there's so many PMR providers right now, and they're all hustling for the same business. I would like to chuck everyone in, and there'd just be a cage match. Whoever's last man standing, that's whoever wins. That would be the best way. And I think we can probably make that happen. Do some promotion. Get it? What do you think?
Well,
Would you be up for that?
Our head of tech, Matt, is an ice hockey player.
Yeah.
So stick everybody on the ice and
All right.
let's fight it out. Throw in your gloves on.
Well, thank you so much, Paul.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for coming to Pharmacy Planet. And I think that's a wrap.
Great. Thank you very much.